how to change the new Traxxas ERevo 2.0 VXL pinion gear the easy way. I've just put a 17 tooth pinion on here. I've reinserted the space. I put a 17 tooth pinion on here. I've done it in a fraction of the time it took me before. A little bit of trial and error along the way, but I've tried to put everything in a chronological order so you can see just how to do it step by step. Pretty easy job though. Anyway, let's see how we got on with it. So, how to change the new ERevo VXL pinion gear the easy way, fingers crossed. Well, it had been bugging me for some time as to how hard this screw was to remove in order to change the pinion. So I thought, what if it's meant to stay there and the whole thing's meant to pivot over? As somebody did suggest, maybe removing, would it, tilt over with the receiver box in place? It won't tilt over a receiver box in place, but it's just held down by two screws. Let's have a look inside, see what else it's held down to. Might need to remove this little front plate as well, as that's very tight to the motor. But let's see, as I have a feeling, if we can do that, then we can release this and simply pivot it over. Should be much easier. So I'm doing the two screws on the top. I found there's just two small screws inside to undo. So I'm just going to remove those, remove the receiver box, and hopefully slide the whole thing out, enabling me to turn that over. Now, as I thought, that receiver box will, with a bit of wiggling and jiggling, slide a lot further out. It's still putting a little bit tight across the wires on here, but we shall see when I roll the motor back. So I'm going to undo the one screw on the front here and loosen this baby off. Okay, well with that one screw removed, this cover just slides straight off, so I'll put that safely to one side. Okay, you may wonder why I'm doing this for the third time. I've got a 46 tooth spur in here. I've got a 17 tooth pinion which I want to fit, because to use the spacer, which I think is imperative if you're going to use it self-righting motion, because if not, this is going to be very, very tight. Any movement between the pinion and the spur is going to result in the spur being stripped. So that's why I want to put the spacer back in there. What of note is the 18 tooth and 46 tooth combination gives 65 miles an hour plus. So I'm not going to be far off that with a 17 tooth fitted in here, because while the car can take an awful lot of different pinions, a lot of them don't use the spacer. They instead require you to be tightening this up in the way a conventional pinion is fitted. My worry is if this kicks back at all, any movement in here at all when it's doing that self-righting thing, this is going to strip the gear. That's why I want to fit the spacer back in. Okay, removing that, pull that safely aside. Now, moment of truth is this. I'm going to slide back enough to give me access to the pinion. Not quite. Now, it's a wire to the ESC that is preventing it from me being able to slide the box over far enough. So I'm just going to see if I can loosen that one and slide it out. Okay, when removing that receiver box, you're also going to need to remove this front cover, because the wire running from the receiver to the ESC is that tight, it doesn't enable the motor to roll back enough. So that's my tip that I've sort of filmed afterwards, because I found that to be a problem. See if we can get enough slack moving the cable to the ESC in order to rotate that back, and yet we're going to be able to do that. Well, with just a minor bit of pulling on the cable, this should now be able to rotate back enough that the pinion clears this metal plate when I undo the grub screw, and there the pinion slides off. Now obviously the bigger the pinion you've got, the further you're going to need to crank this back. Okay, just putting my 17 tooth in place, put a little bit of Loctite on that, get that nice and tight. I don't want that going anywhere with the strength and self-righting. The next step is the essential one, which you don't want to forget, is to make sure that that goes back in position B when I put the whole thing back together. Pop that in there. Just check my mesh is okay. And I think I'm virtually tightened up by hand on here. And because once it's in the spacer, it's not really going to move it anyway, although I am obviously going to tighten it with a hex key, but you can do most of the job by hand. Okay, now my last job is re-waterproofing the box here. Also, I'm going to take the slack back out of that ESC wire, because otherwise it's going to sit dangerously close to the pinion here as well. Hopefully, if I can zoom in enough, I would make sure all of the three wires coming out of the receiver are nice and flat against this rubber and they're not overlapping each other. So I'm going to separate that one out slightly so that the watertight seal is as good as it can be. Okay, well I've got the front waterproof cover on now, so I'm just going to check everything's working on the electric still, just to be doubly sure that I've not nudged anything, etc., and put the cover back on. Having refitted that cover, the last job is to put the two screws back on the inside on there, and then nice and tight, and then just double check the waterproof seals in there correctly, squeeze your receiver wires on, receiver cover back on, Okay, well, receiver cover back on. All my wiring looks to be in reasonably good shape, so last thing to do, just to put this one screw through and put the cover back on. So, with the cover back in place, that is how to change the new Traxxas ERevo 2.0 VXL the easy way, or I think it is anyway. Any comments or questions you might have, please do ask away.
We hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the circle image to subscribe. Thanks for watching. It helps if you want to turn on the notification button next to the subscribe button.